So what's happening right now, and this is the lie that is agreed upon by the media, they want you to believe that this is common practice, that this has happened at some point, any point throughout American history. It hasn't. That President Donald Trump, in contrast to former Vice President Joe Biden, could be impeached even though he's out of office. This is their new plan.
He's open, and Mueller is pretty express on this in his report. He says that Trump can be indicted after he leaves office, and in the interim, there's a possibility of congressional impeachment.
An official can be impeached even after they leave office.
If we say it enough times.
Chapter from our history tells us that Trump can be impeached and can be tried in the Senate even after he leaves office.
Okay, let me read this to you really quickly. So Article 2, Section 4, it's pretty clear. Impeachment is for removal from office. The president shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. And the founders, right, they base the requirements for impeachment on this. This is something a lot of people don't know. I have to get a little nerdy on the English practice, except they altered it, of course, to specifically more apply to public officials because we don't really have royalty. Unlike you Canadians, my home country, where you still keep the queen on your monkey, your money, your pussies, all of you, Canada. The fact that it isn't a 51st state is proof that we are not an evil empire.
Yeah, I know, yeah, it's also funny because strippers are like, thank you for the change. Because it's your rite of passage when you're I'm from Detroit. You go over there, you're 19, you can drink.
Right, yes.
You know, so you go over there and you give silly goose money to the lady dancers.
Never has a more accurate summary of Canada been described. So the founders, right, they switched it to apply to public officials. Let me read you here from the founding documents. The Constitution established an impeachment mechanism exclusively geared toward holding public officials, including the president, accountable. This contrasted with the English practice of impeachment, which would extend to any individual save the crown, not the crappy series. I haven't actually watched the series.
It's not bad. Come on.
And here's the thing, too. People will say, well, you know what? Okay, maybe you're just talking about the law and the history. Precedent also matters. You can see how this is applied in practice. Congress, they annotated, right? The Constitution states the framers, they were very clear. They envisioned punishment, for impeachment exclusively for removal from office. That's what it means. That's what it's for. Censure is a different thing.
Right.
Which for me, for a long time, I'm like, they can censor? No, censure is basically public admonishment. It's basically the modern day stocks, only there are no consequences.
It's like a slap on the wrist, basically, for a public official.
The American colonies largely limited impeachment to office holders on the basis of misconduct committed in office, and the available punishment for impeachment was limited to removal from office. Again, while we're talking about precedent, Nixon resigned. Why? He resigned so that he wouldn't be impeached, and they didn't impeach him after, and they really wanted to impeach him. And Ford was another pussy.
They pardoned him later on.
Although Gerald Ford, he smoked 6 bowls of pipe tobacco a day, and he died at 94.
On the constitutionality of it, right, I think you've made a very good point that obviously the only punishment is removal from office. The only thing that goes with that is the inability to run for future office, right? And I think that's really what they're getting at, is they're trying to bend the rules and continue an impeachment process meant to remove somebody from office so that they can go, ha, 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 2024, you're out. And I don't think, are you really that afraid of Donald Trump?
They are.
Yes, you think in 4 years,
they absolutely are.
He's going to be the guy?
They absolutely are. They check their beds for Donald Trump.
I really do think they are afraid of him, but that goes to another level. But you can't, thinking that you can impeach a former politician, somebody who doesn't hold office anymore, and that it will have any effect whatsoever, because they're looking at this and saying, impeach, indict, imprison. So this isn't just one thing that they're trying to do. And yes, after a president is removed from office, he goes back to being a private citizen who can be held liable in a court of law. But guess what? It would have to go through the courts.
Unless you're a Biden.
Well,
unless you're a Biden snorting coke off your niece's hip bones.
You can be pardoned and
then we're a little murky on the rule book.
Yeah.
No, they absolutely are afraid of Trump. AOC checks her closet. Trump, are you in there?
Again?
He tried to hurt me.
No,
I
it's just Biden.
died getting pants.
Trump's like, listen, AOC, I only go for Russian models. You're fine. Listen, I understand why people are upset with conspiracy theorists, and I don't like seeing people in Nancy Pelosi's. That is the people's house.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the process. I think that a lot of people they felt their voices weren't heard, and I understand why your voices weren't heard, because people didn't do the work that they needed to do. When I say you were played by people at the top as it relates to election irregularities and fraud, people weren't doing their due diligence. intelligence, okay?
Yeah.
You can see it by the typos in the briefs. You can see it by the fact that behind the scenes we had to correct some of this data, and it's really hard for us when we have the truth, and we've tried to talk about the truth in the show, where we go, look, X thousand voter rolls here. These are addresses that don't exist. That's what we were going to do in Nevada. You know what? Comment below. Let us know if you still want us to do the Nevada live stream where we just show you 40 addresses with random places that don't exist. Maybe it's more relevant now because they're banning anyone who shows you the truth. We can still do it. My heart gave out. I apologize.
It was too small.
But the point is, they weren't doing their due diligence, and so people were waiting for those who had the ability to do something, to affect change, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And when those same people are being labeled Nazis and being labeled enemies of the state, then they say, well, you know what? All right, I guess I'm an enemy of the state now. And now they call for unity. And they want to call for unity by tarring and feathering the man who actually support. And when I say, I don't mean conspiracy theorists, I don't mean radical right-wingers.
Right.
I mean the man who actually fought for small businesses. The man who unions are finding out the hard way now actually fought for the American working class. The man who was loathed by hedge funders, right? You decide that you want to vilify this man while you simultaneously protect all of your cronies in Wall Street and big tech and big media, and you wonder why people are upset.
Watch Good Morning Mug Club live every Monday through Thursday at 10:15 Eastern.